The message that I want to share with you today, in keeping with our theme for this month in understanding our interpersonal relationships and enhancing our interpersonal relationships, what I want to talk about today in particular is the subject before you say I do. How many people here today are unmarried? All right. Now that is well over 90% of the congregation. And this message today, I hope, will give you some bearing, some ammunition to defend yourself against yourself. Notice how I said that. To defend yourself against yourself. I do not mean to leave those out of this message who are married. You will find, hopefully, much of what I say can be applied to your relationship as well. But in particular, in dealing with the various issues this month, I want to minister particularly today to those who are unmarried. Notice I didn't use the word single. And I didn't use the word single purposely. Unmarried is the word. And as I go into the message, you will understand. Everybody say this with me. The only thing worse than being single is being married to the wrong person. Now, there may be somebody who can relate to what I'm saying. But we live in a society where preoccupation with marriage is the focus. And as a result of marriage, or the marriage state, being the focus of our lives or our life, we become preoccupied with it many times without even realizing that we are. From an early age, we hear stories like Cinderella. And of course, there can be no Cinderella without the prince. Right? I mean, that was the beauty of the story. Here's a little poor girl who is the object of jealousy and envy. And she ends up going to a ball. Y'all know the story. Right? And of course, the prince, the king's son, sees her, and she's got these golden slippers, which weren't real. How she got there, and a pumpkin that was changed into a carrot, that wasn't real either. The mice that pulled the pumpkin or the carriage were changed into a horse, so the transportation wasn't real. But yet, out of this fairy tale, many people develop a realistic expectation. Did that make sense to you? Then there's Snow White and the seven dwarfs. Calm down, let me preach, brother. All right. Then there's Snow White and the seven dwarfs, who got, what did she eat? The witch out of jealousy. Notice jealousy is a key thread in these stories, huh? Out of jealousy, the witch gives a poison apple, and she is in a state of death with her sleeping, beautiful self. According to the fairy tale. And of course, who comes along and kisses her and awakens her from her dead state, but the prince. Right? Another fairy tale. But somewhere out of the fairy tale, realistic expectations, or I should say expectations that we're hoping would be real, were placed into us. One of the greatest advantages in life is being single, being unmarried. Why do you say that, Pastor Ray? Because when you're single, you can give your time uninterruptedly to the work of liberation, to the work of resurrection, to the empowerment of your people. When you're married, you have to divide that time. Oh yes, you do. You have to make time for your mate. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's great. That goes along with being married. Unfortunately, many single or unmarried people do not realize the opportunities and privileges of being single. And this is mostly due again to the mindset that's placed upon people by social, religious, and emotional influences. What do you mean, Pastor, by social, religious, and emotional? Well, social, again, like the fairy tales, the things that we learn from our social environment. But there's a lot of pressure that's placed on single people by their religious indoctrination. It's really tragic to say, but well over 80% of the premarital situations that I often counsel, believe it or not, it's not usually people who want to marry because they really want to marry. Many people marry, and I'm going to be real with y'all this morning, because they don't want to live in sin. In other words, we've been taught that fornication is sin. And there's a state, I'm at a state in my life, Pastor, where I got to do something. Somebody got to do something. That's where I was at right now. And we've been so religiously indoctrinated that if we do what our body is telling us to do without being married, we're not at peace. And you shouldn't be. Because the sexual relation was designed by God to be enjoyed within the parameters of the marriage relationship. So many of our people are under the pressure from emotional influences. In other words, you don't know how to deal with these feelings that you're going through. What is this that's going on in my body? Why is it that when I'm around you, everything inside me comes alive? Why is that? Because they don't understand. Isn't it ironic, though, that it seems to be that before you get married, everything inside you comes alive? And after you get married, it looks like everything inside you, for many couples, not everybody, dies. Because of the pressure from social, religious, and emotional influences, many singles or unmarried, and I have to tell you the difference between the two there, many unmarried people are often thrust into something called marriage as they understand it. Now hear what I'm saying. Marriage as they understand it. One of the questions that I ask couples that come in for premarital counseling is, why do you want to get married? Why do you want to get married? Everybody say this with, look at the person next to you and say, you can't get married. You can't get married. What you mean you can't get married, Pastor? I'm looking forward to that one day. What you mean I can't get married? You can't, quote, get married. You can't get married any more than you can get dead. Follow what I'm saying now. The marriage relationship, or by definition, marriage is when two people become one. By divine intervention. When God makes two people one. Only God can do that. I better let y'all hear me say it one more time. Only God can make two people one. Are y'all with me? You do not have the power nor the wisdom to predict what day God is going to do that on. Are y'all following me? So what we do is we schedule a day called a wedding. And you hear people say, I'm getting married on December the 10th. I'm getting married August the 14th, whatever day you set. I'm getting married. Brothers and sisters, you don't know if that's the day the two of you were going to become one. You don't have the power to make that prediction. For example, nobody can say what day they're going to die. Nobody sends out invitations to their funeral. Why not? Because you don't know when it's going to be. If we knew when we were going to die, I'm sure we would really do it up big. But since we don't know what day that's going to happen, you can't send out invitations for something that you don't know when it's going to happen. So what is the purpose of a funeral? A funeral is a service or a public announcement that is held to make people aware that a death has taken place. Are y'all following me? In like manner, a wedding ceremony should be an outward announcement of the realization of a oneness that has already taken place. In other words, you don't schedule a funeral until somebody has died. Yes, right. In like manner, you shouldn't schedule a wedding ceremony until there's a realization that the two of you have become one. So many people meet with disappointment after they spend all this money. They realize, oh, shucks, I don't feel no different than I did yesterday. No longer can we afford to sugarcoat our discussions and teachings about singlehood or being unmarried and the pressures that have been placed upon it. Like it or not, brothers and sisters, we and I as a pastor, I have to address the issues in a very real and candid way, because if we as church folk don't start addressing the issues in a very real and candid way, you're going to see hypocrisy at an all-time high. You understand what I'm saying? What do you mean, Pastor? I'm talking about folk who don't want to address the issue, but they want to act like everything is all right. So you know things are not all right, so you develop this lifestyle of living in a hypocritical way. Countless young people who I have known personally at one time were excited about the things of God, were on fire for God, only to find that they're now sitting in the corner or at the end of a pew in the back of most churches, and their zeal and their fire is gone. Why is that? Why is that? And that's because many young people have repeatedly, follow what I'm saying, they have repeatedly fallen into sinful acts and have been made to feel like there's no hope for them because of their condition. In fact, some people even wonder if they're really saved. You know why they wonder? Because how many of y'all have ever heard this phrase, saved folk don't do that? Yes. Oh, yes. Y'all can relate to that? Yes. Child, if you were saved, you wouldn't do that. So when you say stuff like that, and they do what they've heard you say saved folk don't do, what is the conclusion? I must not be saved. No matter how much they love God in their heart, no matter how much they really want to please the Lord, we've told them that they're not saved because they're doing what we don't think they should do, perhaps what they should not be doing. Look at the person next to you and say this: the reason why some folk don't do the things they used to do is because they can't anymore. Y'all have heard the phrase, things I used to do, I don't do no more. Way I used to walk, I don't walk no more. Way I used to talk, I don't talk. See, a lot of places I used to go, I don't go no more. They ain't gonna let you in anyhow. I'm stepping up in there. Because he be stepping up in there trying to be young. They be saying, what you doing up in here, Grandpa? Many of our young people, and of course this message really focuses on our young adults who are at that point of being unmarried, and even some of our middle-aged adults who are at that point of being unmarried. A lot of the older adults, they just don't care no more. See what I'm saying? They're happy right where they are. Some of them don't realize how miserable they're making other people's lives, but they right where they are. Everybody say this with me: falling is not so bad. The tragedy is not getting up. Got that? We all say that we're running in a race, right? I'm running a race, trying my best to reach my goal. Anybody with common sense knows that when you're running, you're more liable to fall than when you're walking. And depending on how fast you're running will depend on how hard your fall is. Is this making sense to y'all? So we must understand that falling is not so bad. The tragedy is not getting up. Now, let me define for you why I say the word unmarried instead of the word single. Because single, the word single by definition means without another or others, alone, solitary. That's what single means. One of the things you need to understand, brothers and sisters, is there are a lot of people who are unmarried, but they're not single. So when you say, I'm single, and you're saying that because you're unmarried, that's not true if you have children. I told y'all this before you say I do, right? If you have children or a child, you are not single. I don't care if you've never had a ceremony. It's no longer just you. That's right. It's now you and that child or those children. That's reality.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir.
Doesn't have to just be children. Suppose you have the responsibility of taking care of a loved one. Suppose you have the responsibility of taking care of your mother or your grandmother or a member of the family who has an infirmity of some kind or disabled. If that person goes along with you, you are not single. Because a person is unmarried does not necessarily mean that they are single. Over 83%, brothers and sisters, over 83% of unmarried people today have a problem experiencing personal happiness and fulfillment. And again, that's because we have been looking for something that's not real. We are never taught as children, follow this now, we are never taught as children that your own personal happiness is your own personal responsibility. We're not taught that. We weren't taught that. Again, back to Cinderella. Here's a young lady. Who made her happy? The prince, right? Snow White. Who made her happy? The prince, right? We are taught that somebody else is going to come along. We got this thing in our head. We're looking for our knight in shining armor to come along and take away our sadness. We're looking for somebody to come along and rescue us from where we are. Brothers and sisters, you must stop looking for somebody who's going to make you happy. I hear that. I hear it. Even as a counselor, I hear that. Pastor, I'm looking for somebody who's going to make me happy. And when I hear that, I lean back in my chair. I say, who you think you are? I mean, who bequeathed this privilege to you? Who you going to make happy? Who are you going to make? You're looking for somebody to make you happy. Who you going to make happy? You see, brothers and sisters, it's a twofold thing here. It's not only impractical, it's not real. To literally think that somebody's going to walk into your life to make you happy. Everybody say this. I am responsible for my happiness. One more time. I am responsible for my happiness. Now look at somebody else and point to yourself. Say, I am responsible for my happiness. If everybody understands that, then we'll stop blaming each other when the other doesn't make us happy. Somebody does not like this message today. Let me share with y'all 5 essential points to being happy and unmarried.
All right.
5 essential points to being happy and unmarried. The first, if you want to write it down, is don't be preoccupied with marriage. Now, I'm going to say some stuff here today in this message that I hope will help or correct some of the emotional trauma that many people go through. I will tell you some of the stuff I'm going to say, some of you might not like it. That's your problem. I'm going to tell it to you because it's the truth. Again, 5 essential points in being unmarried and happy. The first one is, what did I say it was? Don't be preoccupied with marriage. I think y'all need to understand, not everybody's going to be married.
That's right.
That's the reality. Okay? Let me just show you here why. Let me use an example of right here, as I can go to just about anywhere in this country, especially in the church. Brothers, raise your hands. I take that back. I take that back. Put your hands down, brothers. Put your hands down. Available brothers, raise your hand. Whole lot of hands went down. Available brothers. Let me see those hands high. Come on, brothers. Look around the room, y'all. Look around the room. Available brothers. Got the hand up, right? All right. Put that hand down, brother. Available sisters, raise your hands. Oh, come on, put those hands up. I don't mean whether you want to be available or not. I'm talking about the available sisters, raise your hand. All right. It never fails, people. The available sisters outnumber the available brothers. For those of you who don't know this, you may want to use a biblical precedence for what I'm saying. Isaiah, the 4th chapter, the 1st verse. What does it say? Let's turn there right quickly. Isaiah, the 4th chapter, the 1st verse. If you don't have your Bible, I'll just read it to you. Here's what it says. And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man. Yeah, that is in the Bible, y'all. This is not as the world turned. This is right there in the Bible. Isaiah 4:1. It says, in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread. In other words, you don't have to feed me. We'll wear our own apparel. In other words, you don't have to clothe me. In fact, today, y'all, it's gotten so bad it's the other way around. The sisters are feeding and clothing the brothers. Notice what it goes on to say. It says, only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. From the Hebrew transliterated, it says, only let us be called by thy name so that we can say we have a man. In a monogonistic society such as ours, which means one woman to one man and one man to one woman, when you have 7 women to every one man, that means that 6 of them ain't gonna have a man. You follow what I'm saying? All right. That's reality. So since that's reality, don't preoccupy yourself with getting married. 2, determine if you are single or unmarried and modify your mentality accordingly. Did y'all hear what I said? Determine if you're single, meaning if it's just you by yourself, or or if you are unmarried, meaning that you are not married, but there are other people to go along with you. Whichever one it is, determine which one it is and modify your mentality accordingly. And the reason why I say that, especially to mothers who have children, if I can go here for a moment, is because, believe it or not, more than your own happiness, you have a commitment to their happiness. You understand what I'm saying? In other words, I know there are times you say, well, I'm young, da 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 da. But these children did not ask to be here. And it's a thing called life. We must deal with the results of actions that we did yesterday. Told you everybody wasn't going to like this message. Number 3, purposely place your psyche on a diet. Meaning your mind. That's the Latin word for mind is psyche. Place your psyche on a diet. This is done by what you feed your mind, or what you allow it to be exposed to. In other words, too many unmarried people spend too much time reading seductive literature.
All right. Yeah.
Too many unmarried people spend too much time thinking about sexual healing.
All right now. Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Too many unmarried people spend too much time thinking about, child, if I could just get next to them just as one time. I'm keeping it real. Too many unmarried people spend time in church with their mind where it ought not to be. Instead of receiving the equipment or the equipping that they need for this warfare of liberation. Spend too much time in television. Spend too much time gossiping. Spend too much time getting involved with acquaintances who have negative or empty talk. Fourth thing, engage in a personal development program. What are you saying, Pastor? I'm saying to you, if you are single or unmarried and you have the privilege of being that, then spend your time wisely. Now, follow what I'm saying. Follow what I'm saying here, okay? If you have the opportunity to go back to school, go back to school. And get some more education to prepare yourself for the challenge that lies ahead. If you're single or unmarried, don't spend your time trying to look pretty. Or brother, spend your time at valleys lifting weights like that's going to put food on the table. Follow what I'm saying here. Who cares if you got muscles if you ain't got no brain? How flat your abs are, so you can walk around with your shirt wide open, and then when you open your mouth you sound like a fool. What difference does that make? Get into a personal development program. Continue your education. Develop goal-setting skills. Learn time management. Because I got news for y'all. If you are in the habit of wasting your time, when you do say I do, you're going to make that other person miserable as I don't know what. The fifth thing is know your purpose. Determine how to fulfill it and stay focused. Know your purpose, determine how to fulfill it, and stay focused. You have to ask yourself the question, why am I on this earth? What would your answer be? Think about that. How many of our people honestly know why they are alive? Something's wrong, brother. When you're 37, 38, 39 years old, and the only thing you got to show for it is children scattered all over the place. And you still don't know what you're here for. Something's wrong with that. Am I talking to? Something's wrong with the sister. You don't have children scattered all over the place. You got them with you. And okay. I mean, you know, that's what it is. But now, what are you doing about that? What are you doing with your time, brothers and sisters, to be sure that your children don't duplicate what you did? It's a serious challenge here today. Everybody wants to be free. And freedom is good, don't get me wrong now. Freedom, by definition, simply means not under the control of some other person. Able to act or think without compulsion or arbitrary restriction. Having liberty, having independence. Okay, that's what it means to be free. Not held or burdened by obligations, debts, discomforts. That's what it means to be free. Unfortunately, in our minds, we think freedom means the liberty to be immoral. That's what we think. We think freedom means the privilege to go do something with somebody else. Look at the person next to you and say, you need, now this is for single and married. Look at the person next to you and say, you need the freedom to simply be still. You need to understand that. You need the freedom to just be still if you want to be. Let's move on here and talk about a very other pressing issue or area in being unmarried and before you say I do. That is the area of what is called sexual activity. All right. Relax. I felt the tension. I picked up a fan. There's a word that we find in the Bible. The word is fornication. It comes from the Greek or Latin root word porneio, where we get our English word pornography from. What is fornication by definition? Fornication by definition is sexual activity outside of marriage. Is everybody hearing me? Sexual activity outside of marriage. And I'm not going to pull no punches. Whether we all like it or not, fornication is sin. Y'all follow what I'm saying? In other words, the sexual relationship should be experienced with that person who is your mate that God has given to you. Now, you say, but Pastor, I don't agree with that. I know you don't. That's the problem that we all have. Go ahead. We don't none of us agree with it at the time, especially. At that moment, we really don't agree with it. Pastor cannot be telling the truth. Ain't no way in the world. Like this can't be wrong. No, not this. Let me drop this on you. For the married folk. When I say married, I mean who have a marriage certificate. Even legalized fornication is sin.
That's right.
Now, did I lose you? Let me break it down some more. I told y'all, marriage is when God makes two people one. Just walking down an aisle, standing in front of a minister and getting a piece of paper saying certificate of marriage does not necessarily make you one. Are y'all following me here? Because see, if that was the case, y'all, now in some states, women can marry women. Men can marry men. Are you telling me that God joins two women together? Or two men together? If that's what you're telling me, you need help. Because God made, according to the biblical text, according to the Babylonian text, God made Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. Are we clear here? Did I offend somebody? Good. God did not design. That is not the natural order of the African concept of ma'at. For balance, you got to have male and female, not male and male. Not female and female. So only God can make the two one. If that oneness has not taken place by divine intervention, y'all, you can have a train on your gown that reaches from here out to the front porch. It is nothing more than a ceremony. Am I clear here? But yet, people who fit that description sleep together every night and don't nobody say nothing. Because they are experiencing what is called legalized fornication. See, there's a passage in the biblical text that a lot of people don't understand. It says to the effect that marriage is honorable and bed is undefiled, so forth. And then later on it says, the biblical text says that God says, whoremongers and adulterers I will judge. I remember we used to discuss that in seminary because the point that was being made there was only God knows who He has joined. So y'all stop sitting back passing judgment on each other. Isn't that deep? Yes. Everybody say the ideal. And say the reality. We must understand, I think I may have shared this with you before, but a lot of you are new here and have not heard this perhaps. There's a difference between what we ought to do and what we do. Big difference. We all know what we ought to do and what we ought not to do. For example, what we ought to do says flee fornication. That's the idea. But what we do is we say, I don't want to. I mean, that's reality. And see, y'all, listen, please look at the person and say, whatever you do, don't play games with yourself. I mean, we had a sister came in, and it's been since I've been here counseling, and she came in, Pastor, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. I'm pregnant. I said, what's wrong with you? What you mean you don't know what happened? See, my method of counseling, y'all, is called nouthetic counseling. Nouthesis means face it head on. What do you mean you don't know what happened? You know exactly what happened. Come on here. You know, your name ain't Mary, and you know, come on. We have this thing in the back of our head that says, I don't want to do that. Flee fornication. I don't want to flee. What else? The ideal says, but it has tragic consequences. You know what reality says to us? I'll take that chance.
Yes, sir.
Now see, I don't want y'all to raise your hand when I ask this question. Just raise your hand spiritually, and then I'll know if you relating to what I'm saying. How many of you here in the room have ever been at that point where you know there's some consequences that goes along with this thing? I said I didn't want y'all to do it. But at that time and at that moment, you became that daredevil. I'm willing to take this chance right now. You know? The ideal says you know you shouldn't do it. But the reality said, but it feels so good.
Right.
The ideal says, well, don't think about it. The reality says, I can't help but think about it.
Right.
The ideal says, child, you need to pray more. Y'all, these are phrases y'all have heard, right? You need to pray more. But reality, and reality say, I got calluses on my knees now. Yeah, I've been in prayer. Well, the ideal said, well, child, go to church. The reality said, that's where my problem is. That's where my problem's at. Yeah. Reality says, well, go take a cold shower. Reality says, my water bill is high enough. You get the picture here? There's the ideal and there's the reality. Then the ideal says, well, don't do it anymore. And reality says, all right, this is the last time. This is the last time. Yeah, buddy. In order to deal with yourself as an unmarried person in the area of your sexuality, you must have a clear understanding of your condition.
Yes.
Now follow what I'm saying here. Your condition and your power over your condition. What do you mean by that, Pastor Ray? Everybody's tolerance level is different. You understand what I'm saying? For example, some people can listen to what is it? 104.9. Some people can listen to that and it doesn't bother them. Not one bit. Others can listen to it and Luther or Barry White come on and you lost it. You lose it. As soon as you hear Barry White's voice, you just go right there. You see what I'm saying? As soon as you hear that voice, oh! Others hear the same song and it don't bother them because it's just sound with words. See what I'm saying? You must know yourself. Everybody say this with me. If you don't want the water to boil, then don't put the pot on the stove. Little old sayings like that. See what I'm saying? You know, it's amazing. We put the pot on the stove, turn the fire up high, and then when the water go to boiling, we want to say, help me, Lord. Lord, help me, Lord, help me. No, it ain't a matter of help me, Lord. Not at that time. You could have stopped that long time ago. You didn't even have to put the pot on the stove. Have me walk around like that comedian who stopped. You ain't got to put a pot on the stove. Yeah, buddy. Know yourself. Know what your tolerance level is. Some people, you can hold their hand. And that's all it is. It's the grasp of a hand. Other people, Deke, if you touch them, they just... Just touch the hand, doctor. By the way, since I'm on that, sisters, let me teach y'all something right quick about the male mind. Sisters, write this down. Touching means making love. Understand that? Touching means making love. And that's really sad. But that's the way it is. The male mind is, see, in other words, once you touch the man, sisters, right in the back of his head, that translates into, all right, hey. That's what that translates into. You need to know this. You need to know this. Okay, once you rub his head or rub his neck, it's on now. Now, see, the brother, you can rub her neck, and it's affection, and it's a feeling of security and warmth. But sister, when you rub his neck or stroke his arm or stroke his hands, like, yeah. You understand what I'm saying? Understand. You got to understand each other here. All right? So now, this afternoon, especially after I done told you, okay? If you rub his hand, don't get an attitude with him. If he wants to go in that direction. Am I talking too raw? Okay, all right, okay. Yeah. And it's really, but that's the left brain for you. Another thing, my time is getting away here. Other thing you really need to know, brothers and sisters, is know the symbolism and power of the sexual act. Okay? The sexual act is very powerful. Brothers, it is so powerful that we cannot grasp it.
Right.
I'm talking to the brothers now. It's unmarried brothers. Unmarried brothers. Unmarried brothers, we can't grasp how powerful the sexual act is. Because for us, it's a physical thing. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
For the woman, it's an emotional thing. And that's so important to understand. See, brother, you can't understand that because you are not taking something into your body.
Right.
Y'all hear what I'm saying? Okay, that's some deep stuff, man. You know, for a sister to take you into her body is powerful. And you can't relate to that because ain't nothing going into your body. See what I'm saying? So, brothers, we, brothers, need to be more sensitive. Y'all all right over there? Okay. It's deep, it's powerful. And see, what happens is it attaches to the sister's emotions. It's a strange kind of a thing there, man. It literally attaches to her up here. And see, brothers, that we can't relate to that. So I hope you can grab what I'm saying intellectually, right? And realize that inside that woman is something called the Ankh Manu. White folk call it the Holy of Holies. In ancient Kemet, the Holy of Holies, or the most inner court in the temple, was called the Ankh Manu. That was only the high priest went in there. You know what's deep? When we were in Kemet, we went to all of the temples that we went to. When we got to the Ankh Manu, up into the Holy of Holies in there, we didn't walk up in there.
That's right.
Even though it was an old temple, we didn't walk into the Holy of Holies because out of respect for our ancestors, we realized that only the high priest went there. Okay? Only the high priest goes into the Ankh Manu. Because according to the ancient text, when anybody else went in there besides the high priest, death took place. How many of y'all seen the Roman Catholic priests with a rope tied around their robe? See, a lot of people, many of them don't even know what that rope is for. The rope comes from the ancient practice of the high priest going into the Ankh Manu. And the glory of God was so awesome in there that if the high priest didn't have his life together, he would die in there. But wasn't nobody going in there to get him. Because they die in there too. So the purpose of that rope was to pull his body out if he died in there. See what I'm saying? Sisters, the reason why a lot of death has taken place, emotional death, is because too many priests have been in your Ankh Manu. Yeah, buddy. I got about 5 minutes to conclude this. Let's see how far I get here. Ask yourself this question: is my relationship going in the right direction? Many people think that because they have established a relationship with somebody that it's supposed to automatically set a course and go in the right direction. It don't work like that, people. Your relationship cannot go in the right direction by itself any more than a car can go in the right direction without a driver. Okay? You need to understand that. The biggest monster, if I can use that word, the biggest monster to a healthy relationship is something called supposition. Well, you're supposed to do it. Who said so?
Go ahead, Doc. Go ahead.
Everybody say this with me. Unless it is understood, no one is supposed to do anything.
All right now.
Okay.
One of the reasons why we go through difficulty in relationship is because we get disappointed with each other, but nobody ever stopped to make plain what our expectations are from each other. And then when you don't fulfill the expectations that I never told you about, I get upset with you.
Go ahead.
You get the picture here? All right. All right. Okay, last few points here. I think I can get this in. Some of the steps to make sure that your relationship is going in the right direction, and when I say the right direction, I do mean the direction that God would have it go in. Everybody say this with me. Number one, be honest from Jump Street. Now that's important, people. All right? In other words, be honest about yourself. Be honest about your intentions. Don't act like you want to get close to somebody under the pretense of wanting to just be a casual friend, when really what you want to do is y'all following me? Be honest from Jump Street. Be honest about your intentions. Be honest about your emotions. If you've been hurt before, tell them. Tell them up front. Tell them up front. Listen now, I may act a little strange with you at times. It's because I done been through some stuff. I don't want you to take it personal when I act the way I act, because what you're seeing is past fears and scars. But when you don't explain that to somebody and all of a sudden you start acting a little strange, they think you're taking it out on them. You follow what I'm saying? Be honest about your finances. Don't act like you got money if you know you don't have no money. Be honest about your profession.
Right.
Like I'm telling people, yeah, I got a degree. And you talking about that deodorant you got home. Be honest and up front. Be honest about your family. Y'all may not believe this, but it's a proven fact. It's a thing called genetic assimilation. Okay? Before you marry somebody, look into that family. Look at the members of that family. See if they crazy or not. I'm serious. See how stable they are, because those genes travel. If you ain't careful, them genes will be in your child. See if there's a lot of criminal activity in this family. I'm serious as I can be. Be honest about your past. One of the things I try to encourage people to do now, especially in counseling and relationships, is have them fill out an application for you. I know that sounds a little strange, don't it? You want me? You want my body? You want my mind? You want my life? Then here. Give me your name, address, and some references. I want some references. I want just like you got past employment history, I want some past relationship history. Let me talk to the other sister and see how she feels about you. I know that sounds a little far-fetched, don't it? I know it does. I know it sounds a little far-fetched, but you're talking about your life here. What's more important than your life? Determine levels of development within your relationship. In other words, you see, I'm running out of time here. I'm trying to stick to an hour instead of just leaving people hanging. I'll just leave this last point and maybe we can pick up later. But there are 5 areas of relationship, brothers and sisters. It's what you call an acquaintance, an associate, a friend, engagement, and marriage. You should go through all 5 of those levels. An acquaintance is someone who you do not know, do you not have a personal relationship with. They're an acquaintance. People are going from the level of acquaintance to engagement. Haven't gotten to know the person or anything. See what I'm saying? You don't do that. After acquaintance, then you become a companion or associate, which is companionship. Just learn to spend time with each other. Just learn to enjoy each other's presence and company. You know, you see what I'm saying? After that, then it should develop to the point of a friend. And a friend is a person with whom you can be yourself. That's what a friend is. After that, then you go consider the idea of marriage. That would be engagement. And engagement is a period of preparation for the marriage union. Okay. I'm going to have to continue this in the future. People have been saying, Pastor, the tape cut off right and the message wasn't even over, so I'm trying to honor that, you know, and we'll pick up with this some more. Maybe we'll do a workshop on this, because I really ran through this today. I could spend a whole lot more detailed time on this, and that's what we really need to do, all right? But brothers and sisters, I got to close with this last point, in case I don't get back to it no time soon, and that is this. Realize it's okay to say goodbye. Realize it's okay to say goodbye. Don't try to make a square fit into a circle. You hear what I'm saying? Once you realize that you are oil and that other person is water, don't try to make it mix. It will never happen. Y'all understand what I'm saying? God, we thank you for today. We thank you for this time of sharing, and I pray that the information we shared today will be helpful to your people. Help us to prevent the attacks that's coming against the male-female relationship and even the marriage union. Help us understand ourselves better, and we'll give you praise and glory. We say Ashe and Amen.